Got a quarterback with us, Aaron Murray, former Georgia Bulldog, and now works in the media world, SEC Network, and Sirius XM, and all kinds of stuff. Good to talk to you in person as opposed to just over the phone on the radio.
I know, it's so nice. I mean, I do another show, Snaps, with my boy T-Bob, and we usually do it from my house, and he's at a studio in Baton Rouge, and now we're doing it like live in person this week because we're both here, and it's just so much nicer to be with the guys or with people like yourselves and kind of just sit down and relax, have a normal conversation instead of being on like my earpods running around the house doing chores as I'm doing interviews.
That's the exact dynamic of our show. Because during the week, normally he's in Oxford, I'm in Starkville, he's in Jackson.
Oh.
So it's nice to have be here
all
together.
It's just such a better conversation. Like I understand the world of Zoom and it's making things easier, but when it comes to shows and content, I still believe at the end of the day, in-person stuff where you're with the guy or gal is just so much better.
There is an argument to be made that not being too close to T-Bob on a regular basis is not the worst thing in the world.
Poor Hester.
I know.
So there are a lot of people that have said no star power at quarterback this year in the SEC. And I might concede that point, but it is not a year where quarterback is not an interesting conversation between returning guys and then some potential like a Joe Milton or a Devin Leary and some others that fall into that category as well.
Yeah, someone brought up to me yesterday, for my year in 2013, we had a ton of quarterbacks in the SEC. You had Menberger, you had McCarron, you had Johnny, myself. I mean, there was 5 or 6 guys that were NFL guys that were going to get drafted. It was a great year of quarterbacks.
Been 10 years ago?
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time. Okay. So, and then the drop off to next year, and people are kind of saying the same thing this year. There's going to be a drop, and honestly, I don't see it. I know there's some young guys that maybe are unproven at a consistent basis, but I think like Tennessee, you brought up Joe Milton. Joe Milton's more talented than Hendon Hooker. Everyone knows it. He's a more talented quarterback. NFL scouts know it. Like Joe's an opportunity to be a top 15 NFL draft pick. If Anthony Richardson get picked where he got picked, I think Joe Milton could do the same thing. So when it comes to that, he's going to be there. I'm a little bit biased because I've seen him for 3 years. I think Carson Beck is a superstar. I think Carson Beck could be a first-round draft pick. So I think there's guys that have talent that have actually waited their turn, which is rare nowadays. We don't see great backups in college football, because these guys want to go somewhere else and be able to play. Joe Milton has been talented enough to play, and he had his opportunity. He lost it. I get it. Carson's been more talented enough to go somewhere else and play. He waited his turn. So you have guys that have been in the system that are now ready to take that step forward. So I think those guys, you got obviously Spencer Rattler, you got Devin Leary at Kentucky. I think Connor Wegman in the tools that he has around him at A&M, as we kind of figure out who's going to call plays there, he is an opportunity to have a big year. I think Jackson Dart is going to have a massive year. I think he's going to be the guy at Ole Miss. And I love what I saw from him last year. In his first year, where he had to split the first 4 games of the season, you've heard nothing but great stuff from him from spring. I think he's going to have a massive season. So there's plenty of guys. Oh, yeah, Will Rogers, who
he's thrown for like 70,000 yards.
Who is the SEC record for most completion. So, like, there's plenty of star power in this league at the quarterback position. So I hate when people are sleeping on it. And I'm actually excited because I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised when it's all said and done.
Beyond just the quarterback position, we were talking about, Florida's here today.
Yep.
And the players that they're bringing, the average college football fan does not know those guys. This is the University of Florida.
Yep.
Superstars all the time. Auburn yesterday. Players that you don't really know. Is there a lack of star power just beyond the quarterback position this year?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, I said that with this morning on one of my shows. I was like, because Arkansas brought star power.
They did.
I'm like, Arkansas, I feel like, is the only one that's like, okay, we're going to bring our stud guys, and it does help when you have a veteran quarterback in KJ and then a veteran running back in Rocket, so it makes it easy. But yeah, maybe there's not as much star power in the SEC compared to say like the Pac-12 has a ton of star power over there. And you can really say that for most of the country right now, and I don't know if it's because of the transfer portal or what, but guys are moving in so many different directions. It almost feels like college basketball. It's hard to feel great about star power in college basketball because everyone's so one and done. It's hard to fall in love with the guy because he comes in for a freshman year and then he leaves. College football is almost turning into guys are moving around so much. It's hard to keep track of them at times. But it's still a league that is extremely deep. It's still a league that's going to have more first-round draft picks than any other conference when it's all said and done at the end of the year.
Who has the best chance of stopping Georgia from three-peating?
In the East or just overall?
Just overall in the country.
I mean, I know Michigan's going to be great, and I like Michigan to win the Big Ten, but I still don't think Michigan is good enough to beat Georgia. I think you have to have an offense like Ohio State. Like what happened? I mean, the way to beat Georgia has been shown the past 2 years. Alabama did it 2 years ago with what they can do on offense and what they did on offense. Ohio State was an injury away from doing it last year in the first round of the playoffs. That's the type of team that you have to beat Georgia. It's not, I know we love defense, and Georgia's technically, quote unquote, won a natty off elite defense the past 2 years. But really, I still think elite offense trumps elite defense in today's game. Once again, Alabama beat Georgia with elite offense. And if it wasn't for injuries at the receiving position, that natty could have been different. Ohio State almost beat them with an elite offense. So I look at who has elite offense this year. I think USC, Southern Cal, I think they have an opportunity. I'm high on them because of their quarterback and their offense. And if they can get a little bit better on defense with what they did in the portal, I think they could have an opportunity to be able to score points to make it a game. Ohio State, depending on their quarterback situation, has the personnel once again this year to win a game head-to-head with Georgia. I think LSU with Jaden and their receivers and a little bit better depth should have a better opportunity if they face Georgia in the SEC championship game. So, I mean, I would say that Alabama, I just don't think they have the horsepower on offense right now to do it.
I don't know if this is one of your boys, so apologies if it is. I thought it was incredible what Todd Monken did in terms of diversifying that offense a year ago. The way he got Stetson Bennett in position to make plays, the way they used the tight end spot. Mike Bobo coming back as the offensive coordinator does not strike me as an upgrade or a lateral move at that spot. Tell me why I'm wrong.
But is anyone at an equal level of Todd Monken after what he did last year? I mean, name one coordinator out there that isn't already at a powerful position, either a head coach or a guy that's on a top team that would have left to go make that move anyways. It's not like there's a million coordinators out there that you can just pick and say, come on over. Like, that's at an elite level. I mean,
but if there's anybody that could steal a coordinator, it feels like Georgia would be that team right now.
Yeah, like if you want to say, like, should Georgia have maybe gotten Tommy Rees instead of Alabama? Would they have been? I'll say this.
Maybe the better question is, how do you feel about Mike Bobo and his play calling and kind of what he's done? Because to me,
I mean, let's go back to when Bobo was the offensive coordinator at Georgia. We were one of the best offenses in America. I mean, we were one of the top offenses every single year in the SEC. I broke every SEC record. We were scoring close to 40 points per game.
So what happened?
He went to
Colorado State. That's a dead end.
It's a dead end, and I think their offense was fine. It was more the defense that got him there as a head coach. Their defense was god awful. You go to South Carolina, who didn't have a quarterback. I mean, let's go. They were playing receivers at quarterback. They didn't have a quarterback. That's a big issue. You go to Auburn, and he was handcuffed by Harsin. It was Harsin's scheme. You can't tell me when both your coordinators, one, you obviously let go of Bobo, but then Derek Mason leaves and takes a pay cut to leave Auburn to go to Oklahoma State, that isn't a toxic environment where the head coach wants complete control of the entire system. Like, wasn't given an opportunity to even make it at his offense at Auburn because of Harsin. So, like, he hasn't had an opportunity to really shine like he did at Georgia. Now he's back, had an opportunity to sit behind Monken. Now he's going to run his offense with his, I would say, more Monken's offense with, he'll mix it up a little bit here and there, I think, with more different personnel groupings, but with elite talent that he hasn't had since 2014. So I think it's
at the top of that list is
unfair. It's unfair to judge Bobo because of the situations that he's been in, and I'll defend him. Like, he's been in crap situations the past two goes.
That's fair. I mean, I wanted to hear that from somebody who maybe has a little better grasp on that. Only a minute left. He's got a weapon in Brock Bowers.
Well, it's not just Brock. The receiving.
There are lots of weapons.
Yeah, I mean, Brock's a freak, and I love the tight end spot. I was in Kansas City when Kelsey got going his second year in the NFL, and seeing how Coach Reed moved him around, I was like, man, this is a hell of a position. But it's Brock, it's Lovett, it's McConkey, it's Rah, it's Arian Smith. I mean, they are just, it's more talent than Georgia's ever had at the skill position with an elite offensive line and with a quarterback who I'm I've already put my money on him to win the Heisman. So I think this is an offense that could be top 2, maybe even the best offense in the SEC when it's all said and done, especially with the schedule they got.
I think I just heard Aaron Murray say that he thinks Georgia's got a chance in
Yeah,
2023.
a little bit.
So you're saying there's a
Tiny
chance.
bit.
Hey, you do great work, man, and really
it.
appreciate visiting with you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Enjoy the rest of the week here.
Aaron Murray, former Georgia Bulldog, former NFL quarterback, and now he talks about it all. Joining us on Radio Row at SEC Media